shoes, medicines, cosmetics, and daily essentials, but we rarely think about how they're made. In many countries, animal testing is still part of the process, especially for pharmaceutical products. Beagles are one of the most commonly used animals in these tests, mainly because they are gentle and easy to handle. In India, cosmetic testing on animals is banned, but pharmaceutical testing continues, and these dogs spend years inside labs. A typical day for a lab animal is repetitive and isolating. Some go through inhalation studies, others have chemicals applied to their skin or injected into their bodies. They live in cages with limited interaction or comfort. They are identified by numbers, not names. Many of these dogs don't survive, but the ones who do sometimes get a second chance. When the testing ends and labs release them, organizations like Freagles of India step in. They take in these dogs, help them adjust to life outside the lab, and slowly introduce them to everyday experiences. Recovery takes time, but with patience and care, they adapt. They start to trust, to play, and learn to be dogs again. This documentary shares those stories of resilience and of new beginnings. Stories from the teams behind the rescues and the families who chose to adopt a Freagle and welcome them home. From shadows to sunshine, from silence to wagging tails, and test subjects to family.
My name is CHINTHANA GOPINATH. I'm one of the trustees here at Freagles of India, and this is my life's work, and it's, I think, the most wonderful thing that I'm doing with my time on this earth. So, yeah. The year 2015 was a landmark year for beagles used in experimentation in India, because we had legislative change that came about, which makes it mandatory for beagles to be retired from testing once they fulfill certain conditions. So the year 2016 saw 242 beagles being retired from a laboratory here in Bangalore to a local NGO. And at that time, it was the largest batch of beagles to be retired from a testing lab. And a group of us came together to volunteer with the organization, and we rehabbed and rehomed all 242 of them. And it was a life-changing year for everybody involved, because we had dogs ranging in age from 1.5 was the youngest, and the oldest dog that we rehomed in that year was 10.5, 11 years old. And it then became evident that beagles were going to be retired from research testing labs from across the country. So at that time, there were labs in Hyderabad, in Gujarat, in Pune, and so that is why in 2017 we decided to formally register an NGO whose primary focus would be to work with these beagles who have been used in testing. So Freagles of India was registered as a not-for-profit trust in 2017, primarily to work with these dogs because of our experience from 2016, which put us in a very unique position. So these dogs, when they first come out from the laboratory, everything is overwhelming for them. So things that we take for granted, like the feel of mud under their paws, for example, to be in close proximity with people, the wind, the trees, everything is just such a sensory overload that there is a lot of emotional and psychological rehabilitation that we need to do with these dogs before they are, ready to go home and be adopted. So this is why Freagles of India started off. And incidentally, the word Freagles means beagles who have been freed from research testing. So that is how Freagles of India was born in 2017. The tagline for our organization is freedom, sunshine and love, because this, when they come out from the testing lab, it's the first time that these dogs experience freedom, where they can choose when they want to sleep, when they want to play, when they want to engage with one another. It's the first time they feel sunshine on their skin, which is a huge deal. And obviously it's the very first time that they learn what love means when it comes from a human being. So that's why the tagline for our organization is freedom, sunshine and love.
Sure. Hi, I'm Sovin, and this is
Shiva.
and we are pet parents of Appu and Lola. It's very, it's very personal for me when, we decided to have a dog, and I was very clear, I want to adopt, because I remember when I was, I think 18 or 19, this was 2008, and, I was not aware of adoption, and I ended up buying a beagle, and I think that was the biggest mistake that ever happened. And it's been like what, more than 10 years, but it still hurts me to know the fact that I gave up, and I think the dog was just with me for 3-4 months, and I honestly don't know where he is even today. So it's very personal for me, and I always loved dogs. And when I decided, okay, what, this is the time, I was very clear, I just wanted to adopt, because I didn't want to do the mistakes that that we did. And and I think it's okay to do mistakes sometimes, because that's how people learn, right? And but you need to correct those mistakes. So I was very clear that I'm going to adopt. I don't want to buy. I did.
I'm NITA MAHURKAR. I moved to Bangalore in 2011. We moved from Bombay to Bangalore. So when I moved from Bombay to Bangalore, I already had 7 dogs which were rescues there. I was like used to small time rescue, etc. Then I came here, started working with Infosys, joined CHINTHANA roped me in for the Freagles of India voluntary work, started then. Got on the board as a trustee in 2022. Freagles of India, actually I started as a volunteer in 2016 when the Freagles were released. 2016 was the year of Freagles that we say. The first batch that came, I was just a volunteer. I used to just hang out with the dogs for some time, and then I started helping with the adoptions, the counseling calls. Then in 2022, I think I came on board. I've had rescues, all my dogs have been rescues, but Freagles have always been different from the rest of the dogs in bringing them home, seeing them grow. It's, in the beginning, it's very interesting to see their little changes, even a simple thing like throwing a toy, a rope. It's very interesting to see their expressions, how they, because everything for them is new. Even like a leaf falling, or the first time we give them a rope toy, even if there's something shaking on the fence, they all just turn to look at it, and their expressions are something to really watch. And how they come out of their shell. They, like my Freagle Muddy, never left a tile that he sat on for days and weeks, and then slowly came out of it. And now he's, doing a road trip, very confident.
You start.
Okay, I'm Preeti and he's Kundan. We are pet parents. I won't say pet parents, but we are parents for 3 Freagles, wonderful children we have. We had Elvis, he passed away in 2021. Now we have Oblix, We call him Oblu. And we have Cadbury, she's Choti. So,
Oblix is 10 years and Cadbury is, I guess, 11 years. Elvis, when we adopted, I guess he already was
10,
more
10
than
or
10,
10
12,
plus.
12 years approx. And he stayed with us for just 2 years.
2 years.
First of all, if someone has made up their mind to adopt, that's a great thing. Otherwise, even for that, I'll say that one should go for adoption. And that also, if someone is a first-time parent, they should go with a senior dog, rather than there is an attachment that we want a puppy. It will grow with us. It will have more interaction with dog. It's nothing like that.
They are forever puppies.
They are so forgiving, so loving that you will not realize the difference once you have adopted. So just people should get out of that mindset that it's a puppy or it's a senior dog. So once they have made up their mind of going with adoption, and if it's again a first time parent, it makes so much of sense to go with Freagles. Like in our life, it was very easy because, as I said, it's the learning is from both sides. The dog never had a human interaction, so he knows you are the one. He or she, the dog will trust you the most, and he will learn everything with you. So the bond which you will develop will anyway be, means which you will remember for the life. Still, in my dream, most of the time I see Elvis only. And second thing is, the dog will adopt to your lifestyle. It's not that he has his own temperament or he has his own set of doing things. He will adapt to your way of living. For us, it was very easy with both Elvis and Obelix. See, like we are talking, he'll sleep all the while. The moment everything is winded up, he'll know now it is my time. Now I'll get the food. So it's pretty easy. We don't even realize that there is something which you have to do differently. So they learn. Like if we are working, they'll happily sleep. They know that 4:30 is the tea time, so they'll come and they'll sit next to us.
I think we were one of those, I'm sure, out of 1,000 people, I think we were there, I think for like 4 weekends back to back, because we just wanted to make sure, are we really doing this? And I think the second time when we went was, so they made very clear that, don't touch the dogs, don't just go up to them directly, just sit down. The dogs will come to you. And we were just there, and then we really liked this, I mean, not me, Shiva really liked this one particular dog. And
Potato.
I don't think you should be saying the name, no? What if? So, uh, and then I remember the third time when we went, no, I think it was second time actually when we went, Apu used to be rowdy. I mean, that's what they called him. And he came close, but he was not very close. So we were thinking, okay, you could see that in his eyes that, I want to come near, but I'm scared. Should I go? And then when we came back home, I remember telling Shiva that, you know what, there's something about this dog. This is very, it's just, I don't know, there was something about him. I was telling Shiva.
I don't exactly remember Appu see, because there are plenty of other dogs,
Yeah.
right? And my eyes were like fixated on Potato because very jumping around, running around,
Very happy dog. And but Shiva was like, no, let's finalize Potato, let's take him. And we were like, I was like, no, there's something about this dog, let's just go back again next weekend as usual. And we went, and I still remember Chinthana and Avanti was also there, and Garima was not there. They were like, you guys are back again, like you guys still have not decided. So, and that was the time, the third time or fourth time, I don't remember, he actually came close. Apu came close. And I was like, okay, this is what it is, because it's easy to adopt a happy dog, right? Everyone wants the trained dog, the toilet trained, the happiest dog, the one who plays around with everyone, the social dog. But then, it's very difficult to, get the dogs, who are not, that happy. And, people overlook certain times, right? So I was like, no, what is the point of getting a happy dog? The happy dog is going to get, 100 other homes, but, there are
So
so many other dogs.
I think it's more like, he chose us.
Yes.
More than rather than we choose. I think I said second time when you went, I don't really remember seeing him because there are a lot of other ones running around. Third time when you went,
Yes.
yeah. I was no, it's as I said, right, and it was jumping around. They had kind of a tunnels, like
Yeah.
it was running inside there, then climbing everywhere. A lot of energy, high energy dog. He's and then the third time when he went, he just came to us. That's when he let us pet him.
Yeah.
And then he said, yeah.
I think like what Shiva said, like that should be the title, right? Like he chose us, we actually we just followed, the path. Shiva's gonna cry now, so yeah, I know. Yeah.
I think it's more to do with, I said, right, that article that came up in Times of India where these dogs are available for adoption. And I think that was a trigger. And
Yeah.
then in parallel, Sovin reached out to them, filled the Google forms, and then we got a call from Garima. And then I really liked the way the
Yeah.
whole interview was structured. I think she was trying to understand our commitment. How safe our apartment was. We were staying in another apartment. It was on 7th floor, 8th floor, 7th floor. How what are the railings like? How the balcony is like? These are from a security aspect, from a commitment. Are we ready to invest that time and effort in
Yeah.
bring in adopting? Because she also gave a it was not that very rosy picture they paint. I think they're very
Yeah.
clear and upfront in saying what are some of the challenges which one might one might face while adopting a Freagle. Given the fact that they have spent a lot of their time
Yeah.
inside a crate and it's just few months or weeks they have been out and roaming. They're enjoying that freedom and sunshine. So
But-
they did give a reality.
Yeah, but I think that is what actually made us, decide that this is the right, people, who can help us. And, why Freagles, if you ask? I think because, it's easier, when they, and they were a very small team, of, women, and they took us through that, proper channel and made us, they even asked us, you guys have to really think about it because it's a commitment. And I think just, we can't support them, but what we can just do is, just listen to them, understand what they are telling us to do, and just go with them. And that's why Freagles,
And one, to add to his point is, the counseling and support system you have once you adopt a Freagle from them. That's immense. Like right from what kind of food we need to feed them. Sometimes some of the behavioral issues one might encounter in the new one, which we adopt them, we get them to our home, and then we see some of the behavioral patterns, and they were there to counsel us, guide us what needs to be done. What food initially, when Apu came home, he was just afraid of anything and everything. Leash.
Balls,
bell,
yeah.
crackers. Even if sometimes the vessels fall, in the kitchen sometimes you work and a plate or something falls, he's shaken by that. So they were there to take us through, as he said, right? They have their own personal life. And they have. I'm sure there are 100 other families who they are supporting, through this.
Yeah.
Crazy. They have even if they say 30 minutes with one family, let's say there are 50 families.
It's a
That's
lot of
like
time.
150 hours.
Yeah, it's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time.
We start? Yeah. Okay. Hi, my name is Aditi Arun and this is my husband Prasanna. We are parents to two Freagles, current Freagles. We are a parent to our previous Freagle Loki as well. He's got a picture of him at the back. This is Nico. He's 12 years old. He's our second child. He's been with us for about 7 years now. He's a grand old man of the family. And my other Freagle is currently hiding from you all. So you will see him sometime, I hope, during the interview. Yeah. I actually don't know. So I think there was something about their story. So 264 dogs and the history of those dogs, you know, them being experimented upon for drugs that we use, and the life that they had versus the life that they could have, right? So there's something about it just sort of clicked, I suppose. And it really gets you thinking, you know, whether, but there was a lot of discussion amongst us whether we should go for a Freagle or, you know, a normal dog. Adoption was it. We would never buy a dog, obviously. We've been brought up in such a way. And we kept thinking, we kept going back and forth so much for, I would say, at least a few months before, you know, we finally said, let's just put in the application, you know, and see what happens. And I think that was one of the best decisions we've ever made in our lives, because our lives changed. Since the first day that Loki came home, our lives have changed.
Hi, my name is Monica and I'm Alfie's mom. Alfie has been an integral part of my family for over 6 years. He's a very calm and affectionate dog that loves to be loved. He loves the outdoors, going to the park and car rides. He's also a big-time foodie. He's been my constant companion and friend, and he hangs out with me whenever I'm working.
At that time, there were lots of dogs from where I picked him up, a lot of Freagles. So, but for some reason, I had this strange feeling of affinity or whatever. He walked up to me, I touched him. I just felt like, you know, he was mine. So then I picked him up and I got him home. And initial days were obviously a little tough because they are not used to the usual life. So I had to teach him everything from scratch. And the first few days, he was very scared, and I had a balcony then, so that's where I kept him, and he wouldn't move out of the balcony for 2 days. So I gave him his blanket, his bed, his water, his food, everything there. I would try to drag him and get him inside, but he would get scared and, you know, go outside. But then with time, he understood that he was safe, and after that, of course, he's turned into something else. But the initial days were, a lot of hand-holding was required.
But good thing is, you know, as I said, right, we had a strong support mechanism which helped us to navigate that path.
But then I also think, you know, it was easy for us to, you know, get connected to him, but, you know, it takes a lot when it's the other way around, because, you know, the kind of background that he came from, right? He was a lab rescued, right? And they told us very clearly, listen, make sure that, you know, you're not doing too much for the dog also. Like, don't just be like okay with everything and anything, and just, you know, don't, you know, kill them with love and everything, because, you know, they need time to get used to it. And so even when we walk up towards him, right, like when he's sleeping, we would be very careful because we don't want anything to trigger him. So, you know, when you're asking about, you know, the trust factor, how you kind of, you know, made that happen, it took a lot of time. And I think that is something that, you know, everybody should understand, that it's not going to be easy, you know, like when you get a dog, I mean, you know, and it has nothing to do with, you know, adopted or, you know, a dog that you buy. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, people say that, you know, you can, you know, it's easier to bond with, you know, a puppy, you know, like when they are like 60 days old. But I don't think that's, you know, that has anything to, like, Appu was 5 when we got him, and, you know, it took some time, you know, but I mean, now I know for a fact that, you know, we are their world, you know, so they just literally trust us, and it takes a lot of time, and but the reward is always better, right? A really good one. So
I think the food, the initial, I think 2-3 months was, I would say, the initial challenges in terms of, you know, like leash walking, getting them trained, toilet trained, then take them. So once they got leash trained, it was easy for us to make them walk outside, twice,
Yeah.
twice in a day. So that kind of helped. Then if at all he wants to pee, then make them pee in the balcony. Just little. I think
Yeah.
the initial 6 months, first 2-3 months were difficult. There's more of trial and error,
Yeah.
and then they get into that. I think they like routines. That's what
Yeah.
you
They
don't
like
change. Don't
routines,
change the routine. So now our routine is kind of customized to their routine.
Their routine, yeah.
But again, as I know, we had a fantastic support system initially.
I think the major trust issue is, they don't know you. So the assumption is, and you see all the really cutesy videos online, the dog is so friendly. There's an immediate bond between human child and dog, or adult and dog. But the reality is, whether it's a Freagle or not a Freagle, the immediate attachment doesn't happen, right? And it did take a while because it was new for both of us. As a married couple, we'd been married only for a few years at that time. And it was new for the dog, it was new for all three of us. And I think the biggest challenge was that neither of them are your typical dog will come and fall all over you and will cuddle up in bed with you and will perform tricks and all that for treats. They are not like that. And the more their personality develops, you realize that they're very stubborn dogs, which nobody tells you about until you get them. And building trust was simple as we gave them a bed to sleep on. They would not sleep on the bed because for them that was a very alien thing. They would only sleep on the floor. And we said, the entire house is yours. You can go wherever you want. That much space was alien to them. So for them to trust that the space would not attack them, I think was the biggest issue that we had. So when we got Fuji would not leave our bedroom. He would only sit there. He would only eat there. He would only sleep there on the floor. And he would not move out of that space for about, what, couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Right?
2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, 2 to 3 weeks. He would not leave at all. But we didn't have that problem with Nico because Nico just sort of, I don't know whether he was comfortable, I don't know what it was. He just came and sat next to me on the bed and that was it, on day one.
I think you also need to be patient with them because again, Loki, I don't think went through the same amount of trauma as Nico did. So you need to wait for him to get comfortable with you before you can get cuddly with him. Let's put it that way. So I think you need to give it a little bit of time. Like she said, they're not the typical dogs who'll come jump on you right away. They take their time to open up. But once they do, they'll sleep with you on the bed. They'll do everything that all your retrievers and all the other dogs do. Right? You just need to give it time.
There's a lot of time and patience involved, right? Which a lot of people don't understand because they expect a dog to come and start being all friendly and falling on you and all that. Like everything, right? So the smallest things that we take for granted is so new to a Freagle. So when Loki came home, he didn't know anything about what life was, like what, a normal dog or a non-Freagle dog or a human would take for granted. So everything from the mirror, oh my God, the mirror. So we have mirrors in all our rooms and he was fascinated by the mirror. He would just stand by the mirror and just stare at himself. And that was like the first time I was consciously started looking for mirrors around my house, saying, okay, look, there's a mirror here, be careful about it. Taking the stairs, for example, he'd never taken stairs before. So trying to teach him to climb down the stairs was quite a task. We've never thought twice about, stairs, grass, walking on grass, drinking water from a bowl, eating food from a bowl, the collar and leash that, we're trying to take him out for a walk. And then...
Dog training him, yeah.
Yeah, right, walk training him. And car journeys, oh my God, getting him into a car, the sheer fascination of sitting in a car with the wind going, the AC on his face, we'd never even think of all those things. Sitting in the balcony, we had a really nice balcony in our previous house, sitting in the balcony and he would just stare outside, at the leaves, the plants, my neighbors loved him. And, so he got an extended family, which we don't think twice about because most people I know don't know their neighbors at all. And my neighbors fell in love and he fell in love right back. And whether they liked me or not, they loved him. And, he learned treats and, he learned the certain thing, like if I do this, he'll get something. And he learned how to dance. So we always had music in the house. So I would just be swaying and he started swaying back with me like that. You don't think about things like that at all. There's a really nice thing. So I was just swaying one day like that and he started swaying along with me. So I said, okay, come. And he stood on two legs and he put his legs on my tummy and he started doing this. I mean, you don't think twice about things like that. That really changed our life. Small things, small
And
things.
again, spending time with him as well, right? So again, curating events around him, taking him
Oh,
out
yeah.
over the weekends.
Because I had some prior experience with dogs, initially how I tried to bond with him is by taking him for a walk. So he was not leash trained, so he used to be afraid of the leash. So initially I would put the leash on him inside the house and just let him walk around. Once he got used to that, I would take him, I had a small garden there, so I would take him to the garden and walk him around. And just the general environment and everything also made him feel good because he was not used to the grass and all that. And those different experiences added to his calm and comfort. So I think the more time I spent with him, and even touch, he was not very receptive to touch. But with time, they understand how good it feels, so then they get used to it. And I think it's only a matter of time. If you do what is required and you stay the course, they turn into regular dogs, So but the best part about a Freagle is that they attach to one person. They latch onto that person, so wherever you go, he follows you. He is like your loyal, I have not experienced this before, but it's like even if I take him to the vet and put him on the stand there, on the table to be examined, his eyes will search for me, that am I there? And then once he sees that I'm there, he's comfortable, so that trust I have, I mean, dogs are loyal and all those things, but this is at another level.
You want to add something?
I think the one thing I really like is they also ensure the living space is also pet friendly. Sometimes the balcony grills could be wider. Then they say then they suggest you to put the net around it. Sometimes some of the those small things which might overlook. Yeah. I think in a way I think the playbook is well designed, well researched. I think they should go publish this, as a guidance for anybody who wants to adopt a.
Because since they are working with Freagles, we checked with them. What do you think? Is it a right choice? Because Apu is not someone who is very friendly with other dogs, but then he's not a troublemaker also, and he's like okay, listen, I'm fine. I have my space. So that's what Chintana said. This just because the dog is I mean he's a Freagle, there's no much difference, and it just depends on how you take the the process forward, and how you you need to set your boundaries, you need to set the rules, because dogs need a routine, right? And when it came to Apu, every time they were with us, be it calls or messages, and I think that I would suggest everyone sorry, I would suggest everyone that they adopt a dog, because you know what, it's easy to just get a dog, but then to go through that process, and when you have someone to take you to that process of adoption, I think that makes you much more aware of what you need to do, what's best for the dog. So the process, or the adoption process with Lola, was much more easier because she was not a Freagle. So she has lived in a home before, but with Apu, it was, it was like, every day there was calls back and forth, messages, okay, this is what's happening, what should we do? So we are much more aware now, and I think that's what makes you, different from any other, pet parent, because, you don't get the guidance where when you get a dog from a store or wherever, you don't just get a dog, you don't get guidance, and this team knows what they're doing. And I think anyone who wants to adopt a Freagle, I think the mindset should be very clear that as we said earlier, right, you don't know what you are, the change that you are making is, you really don't know what you're doing for that particular dog. There's a quote, right, maybe the dog is not everything for you, but you are everything for your dog. That's that's something that happens when you get a Freagle. So I think that's what you should do. I feel like everyone should just adopt, because you really don't get this hand holding that that this team is giving. I mean, that is what exactly you need, because especially if you're a a new pet parent, you don't know anything about dogs. You are not going to get this guidance anywhere, and how much that makes a difference in your life, and in your dog's life, that you bring a Freagle home. You really need that team. And people, I know people do have this this notion that oh my god, they are not gonna gel with you, because they, but I think it is also to do with the way you handle. You just need to be patient, but you know what, that again they teach you. Isn't that what you want? So I think this is something that everybody should, to be very honest. I'm not just saying it for the sake of it, but I see like my friends having dogs and they don't have any clue about it, so they are figuring it out every single day. And that's why when you ask, right, the process with adopting a Freagle and the process, trust me, it was an easier transition for us when it came to when we adopted the second one, the Lola.
Right from the moment, now it's been 4.5 years. I'm still on the Freagles group, where a set of pet parents who are Freagle owners. So I'm still on that group. So every time he has some health issue, or say fur is shedding, what can you do, and things like that. From the point I took him from that place to date, it's been 4 years. I can still count on them for any feedback, right? So initially, how to leash train them, how to toilet train them, everything I was handheld. So Richa was the person from whom I adopted Alfie. So right from the beginning, she added me to the group. She sent me a set of, do's and don'ts. Then there were a lot of other previous Freagle owners who told me what to do, how to handle it, what to do. Because where he came from, initially he had some ear mites. So how to handle that, home remedies, everything. And sometimes you feel, how can this thing work, but then when you use that home remedy, it does work. So, and it's better not to keep them on medication and things like that if you can manage from. So I learned all those things from there. So yeah, the support has been good.
So when a family adopts a dog from us and goes home, it's not the end of the relationship, it's actually the beginning of our relationship. Because in our mind, we grow, we talk about, oh, we do rehabilitation and we do this and we do that. We talk about it in a very clinical manner, but we are human beings. And in the process of making them trust humans and be comfortable with human touch, we are giving a lot of our heart and our soul and our love to them as well. So there is a deep emotional attachment with each of these dogs that pass through here before they go home. So when one of our dogs go home, it's the start of our relationship with the family, because we want the dogs to be happy, we want the dogs to be settled, we want the dogs to be cherished. We don't want families to, any family who thinks that they've done some charity, so sad, I've taken home a rescue dog. We don't want that attitude, because these dogs do not deserve pity. They deserve, respect, because what they have gone through and what they have overcome to reach where they are is commendable. If you think about them in human years, like this boy here, Damru, who's been sitting next to me throughout the interview, he's about 6 years old. So in human years, it's 6 times 7. And I cannot think, I'm 44 years old. If I had been caged my entire life and someone let me out now, I think I might have been traumatized for the remainder of my life. I don't know whether I would have been able to trust the species that has kind of hurt them in the past, right? So when these dogs go home, we want them to be treated with dignity, with respect. We want families that will be their partner and enable them in their journey, not feel sad for them, not feel pity for them, not feel sympathy for them, which is why we are there for the family from the time they adopt the dog from us till the time the dog actually passes away. So over the years, hundreds of dogs, we are there for them with small things like, you know, late at night once I got a call at some 11:30, and I always pick up calls from the adopters. And the lady was panicking, saying, "Oh my God, he ate like a whole Christmas cake. He ate a Christmas cake. What do I do?" And I said, oh, you know, calm them down, told them what to do. So it can be something naughty that the dog did. To sometimes towards the end of life, you know, families are put in a position where they need to take a call for euthanasia perhaps, and they don't know what to do. So they need a sounding board. That's when they reach out to us. So basically from the time that they take the dog home till the dog exits the planet, we are there to support the family. We are there because we want this to be a successful adoption, because we want these dogs to really thrive in the homes that they go to. So we don't, you know, just say, oh, you figure it out, it's not our problem, you've adopted and now, you know, it's your headache. It's not. We continue to partner with the families till the end of the dog's life, because after all, they're our dogs who have gone to someone else's home. And yeah, so we just, you know, we do it for our dogs. That's how we do it.
Every morning. So he had to get into the lift, go down, and there was a common garden where I used to take him. So after a couple, maybe I would say 1.5, 2 weeks, he was actually very excited to go to the garden. And the moment I actually took his leash off, I took the chance of taking his leash off, the lift door opened and he ran into the garden. And I took a video of that and I sent it to Richa, and she was like, this guy looks really, you know, happy and things like that. So I think that was the moment when he realized that, you know, this part of the day is a good part of the day, something to look forward to. And I think he then started even coming where I used to sit and work, or when I was at home, he would relax me on my feet and things like that. And then he himself started initiating contact. So I think slowly, I would say it took me about 1.5, 2 months to win his trust. Even then there were moments when he would, you know, not be what I expected him to be. But with time now, if you see him, he's good with people, he's good, I take him everywhere. He comes with me to restaurants, he's been in a train, he's been in a car, he's been in a park, he's been everywhere.
So a lot of special moments.
But every day, you know, whenever come, every day.
Yeah.
When he comes from school.
Yeah, he's the only one. Appu's the only one who actually comes up to me. You know, when I come back from school, he's the only one who's excited, you know, when I come back. Lola is least bothered that way, so she's fine. But then she's like, okay, I know you're here. You don't need to, I don't need to, you know, make a big scene out of it. But then he is, you know, like with all the things he went through, you know, he is so actually very nice. You know, my friends, you know, we always tell, you know, people like, don't touch him because, you know, let him be. But to be honest, he's actually the nicest one. You know, he's very sensitive, he's very sweet, and you know, he loves you. You know, you can see that. You know, and I think that itself is a special moment, right? When, you know, he knows the time when we come back. I don't know how they know this, but then, you know, the moment I reach, you know, like, you know, when I'm out of the lift, you know, I can hear, you know, he's there and, you know, banging the door, or, you know, so yeah, that I think is a special moment, right? When you come back from work and, you know, you're exhausted and you have, you know, all other issues that, you know, you bring back home, but then the moment you open the door and, you know, they're still waiting there, you know. So it's a daily thing.
Special moment or breakthrough. I remember one actually. So this was, so this is like, it just popped in suddenly. So this was, I think, a month after we adopted Nico, and so he wouldn't come very close to Prasanna. It took him a little more than a month to really come to him. So on day one, for some reason, he just really liked me. So we brought him home, and I sat on, you know, our bed, and Loki had jumped up, and Nico just jumped up and sat. And that day he decided that I was a human. Like, fantastic. Very good. I mean, it is bound to happen, but yeah. But he did not really bond well with Prasanna for quite a while. I think the breakthrough was a month after his adoption. We were sitting on the ground. We were playing Scrabble. I don't know if you remember this. We were playing Scrabble, and he just sort of came and kept watching us, and he sat on the ground. He sort of shimmied closer to us, and he was watching what we were playing, and then he just put his hand, paw on his leg, and he just sat like that. So the Prasanna just froze, and I'm like, do we play Scrabble, not play, or just like a moment to cherish? It was like 5 minutes at the most, maybe lesser. It felt like a much longer time. But he just put his paw sort of like that and just sat. And I think that was like the biggest breakthrough with him. Do you remember anything else, particularly like which stands out?
Yeah, I think Loki was more friendlier of the two. I think Nico
Yeah.
took a while with me.
Nico took a
Right,
while.
so,
Nico
yeah.
took a while. I think that was our biggest breakthrough. Fuji again didn't take too long to really like get friendly with us. He just sort of went with the flow.
So when a family adopts a dog, I think everybody needs to be on the same page, in the sense that every single person in the family should want to have this dog at home. Even if one person is not okay with, let's say, dog fur or the presence of a dog in the house, it is not going to work out. So firstly, everybody in the family needs to be accepting of having a dog in the house. Secondly, it's very important that everybody agrees to the rules that the dog is expected to follow. For example, if I say that the dogs are allowed on the furniture, but if, let's say, my mother says no, dogs are not allowed on the furniture, you're sending very confused mixed signals to the dogs. So if the dog is not allowed on the furniture, the dog is not allowed on the furniture from day one, and the dog has to be taught to sit in their designated bed or mat or space or whatever, right? So everybody needs to be on board with what are the rules that the dog needs to follow. Thirdly, all rescue dogs follow what we call the rule of 3 is to 3 is to 3. It takes them 3 days to even understand what is going on. You know, when we put a family through adoption, the family is put through, interview, questions, are you ready, are you sure? But the dog has no idea. Nobody can tell him, ki, okay, you're going home, and that's a good thing. To a dog, he or she is going to be plucked from this known environment and plonked in a completely new space with completely new people. So the first 3 days, the dog could either sleep a lot because they've gone to a quiet space from a hectic shelter environment, or they could be adrenaline driven and very, very excited, oh my God, what's happening, what's happening. So a dog can be very hyper or could sleep a lot for the first 3 days. It takes them 3 weeks to learn their routine. So the toilet training, everything will take about 3 weeks for it to fall in place. It takes 3 months for the dog to completely settle down, understand that he or she is home, and to form that bond, for their personality to completely emerge.
Family, like, we've been living together for almost 8-9 years now. So our family, we don't stay with our family. When I'm talking about family, I'm talking about like our parents. So but then even when our parents come, when my family comes, we make it very clear, because especially with Apu, because he, as I said, he doesn't have the the tools, with him to be okay with so many people around. So we sensitize our family members when they come home, like, listen, you have to give him time. You cannot expect him to come and just be this happy.
Don't go run after him. Don't go,
Yeah.
Even if he comes close to you, don't touch him. Give them space.
And that's what, like, I really like the way Chinthana always says it, like, you don't have to, you don't need to expect that your dog is just gonna be, in love with you every single minute of it. No. And I like this fact that she always says that, they are like, I don't want to be, like, constantly be loved by everyone. I don't want everyone to just come and hug me and touch me. No. So why do you expect, your dog to be like, the one, you would just want to like hug him? No, give them their space, So, but that's something which I don't think people understand, you also need to let them be. And so when you asked about, like how you prepare your family members, I think you need to sensitize them as well, and make them understand that, like, okay, we have a dog, doesn't mean that the dog is just going to come and, run towards you and just, no.
So much,
Yes, no. So when my dad comes also, they love dogs, but then they are also very scared of dogs. And but then we live, we exist, we coexist in the same house, and they are like, okay, I know this is where I'm sleeping, this is where I'm going, you don't come near me, I don't come near you. I think you need to give that as well, to the, to your dogs, just give them and let them be.
Yeah, give them the space. Sensitize your family members on don't expect them to come running to you at the moment open the door. They may do it for us because they've been living with us. They know us. Your parents, friends, relatives. Keep be the, let them get accustomed to the new individuals who are in the house, right? And then I think once they also kind of trust the individual, then I think it is going to be a bit easy.
Now they are very now.
Okay. My father means in my village or anywhere, dog is not allowed. My father doesn't like dog. Dog should not get into home. So first time when we were supposed to go back to home, I called my dad ki we are coming and this guy will come with us.
You're okay.
You're okay.
So,
Yeah, come. But I didn't
But
know how he will react.
we called him multiple times. We called his mom also. That dad will be okay, right? Like, yeah, he'll be okay. You come.
But main thing is they said that they cannot say no to us not coming to the home. So, and now my dad, he doesn't call me much. Means our interaction is very limited. How are you? How is everything? If I'm not okay. If I'm
Now
not
it's
okay,
like,
he'll say.
how is
But
Oblu?
he
How is
talks to
Chutti?
Oblu.
He'll talk to
be
Oblu.
drinking tea. Oblu कुछ खाया? Oblu कुछ किया? और कुछ बिस्किट चाहिए?
So
He is feeding the dog. He earlier used to not touch the dogs. So now everything has changed.
yeah, even for my place, they're like, yeah, it's fine. And then it gets very hot in our side. So the first time we went, it was during the peak summer. We went in February. We came back in August. So the peak summer we spent there, and when we were returning, we stayed at my place for a month. And this fellow used to feel very hot. And so my
We used
dad,
to be in the first floor. We will be working. So after lunch,
he'll quietly go down, and my father
ground floor
will switch
room
on the
has a
AC,
So
switch
we'll
on the
happily
AC,
sleep with
close
him.
the
He'll not
door,
stay
and
with
all.
us.
Okay, sleep. Like, okay, your grandchildren.
So the thing was, initially he was not good with children. So not that he would do anything, but he would run away every time a child approached him. He was scared of children. With adults it was different. Even with men he was not very good. With women he would immediately attach, trust, but not so much with men. Then later on he realized that everything is okay. But with children there was a learning curve in the sense that he had to be taught that they are safe. So my son was also actually initially very afraid of dogs. So then slowly he understood. So I think gradually you have to do that. Initially don't approach them. He doesn't approach my son doesn't approach him. They coexist in the same house initially. And then slowly the relationship organically developed as it would with any sibling. We all have disliked our siblings at some point. So it was like that only. But organically it became, I mean, I wouldn't say it was such a big deal. Like everybody likes dogs, he also started liking dogs, and they are very bonded now. So now what is the current status? So both of them are attached to each other. I mean, he also seeks my son out. Sometimes my son goes on a picnic or is not there for a couple of days. Then when he comes back, so he's like the irritating brother. He will irritate him and this guy will irritate him. It's like that. So they can't be with each other. They can't be without each other. It's like that.
Be patient, you're gonna learn a lot, and you're gonna learn about yourself, in that journey, and trust me, it just makes you a better person. They teach you everything. They teach you patience, they teach you how to be kind, they teach you the small joys in your life, right, which we sometimes we just don't even consider, we just overlook those things. But then, look, the resilience, right? I think that's the word, resilience, what they went through, and just having a good sleep, I mean, them having a good sleep, imagine that's such a big thing for them. And these are certain things which we actually just don't even, you know, consider, that it's a blessing.
Actually, way before all of these Freagles started to officially come up for adoption, back in 2012, there was a batch of 102 beagles that were retired to an NGO here in Bangalore. I had no intentions of adopting, but when we were so bombarded with the images of all of these dogs on Facebook that I felt the need to contribute and do something about it. So I would just take my little point and shoot camera, go and meet these dogs where they were, take their pictures, put them up for adoption. So that is how my first interaction with the Freagles started. And what I did not expect was that this little foray into taking pictures of the dogs was going to change my life in a way that I never would have thought was possible, because I got to know about 2 such Freagles who had been adopted and who had been given back by the families, because back then the knowledge about the psychology of these dogs, what it entails to help them rehabilitate at home, it was non-existent. So which meant that people were taking home dogs who they thought looked like beagles. So everybody thought, oh, I'm getting a beagle, I'm getting a beagle. So the expectation was of a dog that was playful, curious, happy to run around, happy to interact with people. But on the other hand, when they took these dogs home, they found these dogs were extremely overwhelmed with, the sights and smells of being in a home, were very scared of people, were not toilet trained, did not know how to walk on a leash. So back then, rehabilitation was unheard of. So the dogs would come from the laboratory and pretty much the same day they would go home. So these dogs did not have the time to adapt mentally. So which meant that in that year, lot of dogs were also being returned saying, this is not something that I signed up for. I don't know what to do with this dog, which doesn't even know how to behave like a dog. So I went to the office where there were 2 dogs who had been returned. There was a boy and there was a girl. The boy was returned because he was not toilet trained, obviously, and the girl was returned because she was extremely scared and nervous of being around people. So I went in with my camera, and I remember it was like this little concrete yard where these 2 dogs were. And the boy was fairly confident, he was kind of coming up, but the girl would, the minute she saw a person even enter her space, she would immediately flatten almost like a pancake on the ground. That's how scared she was to be in close proximity with people. So to make her more comfortable, I sat down, thinking that if I make myself smaller, maybe she might find me to be a little bit more approachable. And I think that something changed in that little girl's brain, because she came, kind of almost crawling up to me. She came near me and then she turned around and ran off. And she did this a few times. I completely ignored her. And then slowly, I don't know what came upon her, what kind of courage it took for her, but she slowly just climbed into my lap and sat down. And that moment, something, just changed in me. And even though I knew that I was not looking to adopt a dog, I knew that this girl who had chosen to put her faith in me for whatever reason, I was not going to leave her behind. So I asked to adopt that dog, and I went back the next day to pick her up. And she came home. Her identification number was tattooed inside her ear. She was till then known as 8699640. It's a number that I will never forget. And when she came home, she became my Sasha. And yeah, so even for me, it was a brand new journey. It was the first time that I was also having a Freagle, a rescue dog at home. And, I got her out from the car and I put her down, and she just stared at the steps, just completely confused, not knowing what to do. My other dog, Calvin, at the time kind of ran up and down the stairs, and watching him, she said, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do with a staircase. And she slowly kind of started to climb up. At home, she was scared of everybody. She would sit in the corner, shiver, she would drool. I remember she would walk in circles a lot through the day, through the night, for days. She would hardly rest. She wouldn't even eat with confidence because she was just so scared. So she would just grab like a few pellets of the pedigree that we were giving her at the time, because that was what she was used to. She would eat a little and then quickly run off. So that is the kind of dog that came home, completely timid, unsure. And in my journey with her, to help her learn how to be a dog, help her learn that she was capable of going on walks and playing and things like that, in enabling her with the confidence, that journey just transformed my life in a way that is indescribable. So Sasha to me is the journey that kind of propelled where Freagles of India is today. So she's the one who started it all, as we say. She passed away end of last year. She was almost 15, and she was a tiny dog. She was not as big as these guys. She barely weighed 10 kilos throughout her life. But from that very timid, scared dog, she became like this sassy, ironclad lady who would like demand food and demand attention. She was very clear what she wanted. She did not like puppies, and she made sure she let them know that she didn't like them. She enjoyed being outdoors. I've taken her on a lot of treks to Sakleshpur, to Coorg, and she's even gone to see the beach. And she just loved being outdoors. But I think she loved me the most in the world, right up to the end. Like, she would never take her eyes off me if I was in the same room. And I think her second love was cheese. So she would do anything for cheese. She just loved cheese, and cheese is the last thing she ate before it was her time to leave the planet as well. So Sasha is really the dog that changed my life, and in turn became the catalyst why I had the courage to even start this organization, because I wanted to help more and more dogs like her. I wanted to help more families find their Sasha. And so she's really transformed hundreds of lives. So couple of months after Sasha came home, she hadn't yet barked. So she was not using her voice to kind of ask or vocalize the way normally dogs do. And I thought, okay, this is another thing that she will learn over a period of time, and didn't think too much about it. So once, I think I was watching TV, and my other dog, Calvin, who's a beagle, and Sasha were playing with a ball. And the ball kind of rolled under the couch. And they both were trying to reach the ball to get it out, and they couldn't. So Calvin, just started barking to say, hey, my ball is stuck over here and I'm not able to get it out. So Sasha watched him, and even she, did that, but there was no sound. So she was making the movement of her mouth and face as if she's barking, but there was absolutely no sound that came out of her throat. And that was really, really strange. And when I took her to the vet, he just checked her out and told me that she had been debarked. Debarking is a procedure that used to be done in the laboratories, where the vocal cords of the beagles are cut off so that they are not screaming and making noise, in the lab when they're being tested on, or out of boredom, just to keep the place really quiet. So this girl's vocal cords had been cut off. And somehow that act, the knowledge that this had been done to this tiny, helpless little dog, it filled me with so much of rage and so much of like helplessness and so much anger. And I had to do something about the way I was feeling. Otherwise, it would, I would have just combust, I think. So that is when I started a page on Facebook called Speak for Sasha, in which we spoke about beagles used in animal testing, the practice of debarking, their journey in freedom. So the whole page was, but it was done in a very light-hearted manner, because people will not want to engage with a sad story that makes them feel sad over a period of time. People want to be associated with joy, people want to be associated with hope, with positivity, with fun. So the page was written in Sasha's voice. So for example, if she had gone on a trek and come back, it would, there would be pictures of Sasha in which she is saying, hey, I went on a trek with my family and I had so much of fun. So Speak for Sasha also talked about products that were tested on animals so that people could choose not to buy those products. But the practice of debarking has been banned since the legislative changes came about in 2015. So I don't know if the mic picked up the voice of these dogs just barking, but now there is absolutely no issue with these guys screaming. So Speak for Sasha, I think, also spread so much of awareness in a fun, light-hearted manner on a very serious subject. And so that was also actually the kind of springboard from where Freagles of India and everything took off.
Adopting a dog is easy, but then adopting a dog from Freagles, I mean, adopting a Freagle is something, it's different.
I mean, there is a bit of a hard work, but it is very rewarding.
Yeah.
As he said, right? I mean, it's a journey where you as an individual, you see yourself blossoming. At the same time, you see your Freagle, the pet, also blossoming with you. As he rightly said, right? The simple pleasure, right? The moment, no matter what. I keep telling him, the only two individuals who loves you unconditionally. It's my view. One is your dog, other is your mother. I mean, mother, because no matter who you are, at least by and large, mothers are very loving to their kids. At least they keep food on the table, right? And second is your dogs. No matter what, when you open the door.
Oh God, I think we should just. This is.
I mean, no matter what, they're always there when they come running to you.
It sounds cliche, I know, but the joy that they find in even the smallest of things, like I said before, we just take so many things for granted. But the smallest of things, like there's suddenly that, people say the dogs don't have emotions or don't have expressions. I call bullshit on that because dogs are so expressive, and all three of our dogs are super expressive, and they see something for the first time, their eyes sort of become big, and they just still, and they watch something for the first time. I mean, it sounds super cliche, but it really opened up our eyes to the number of things which just sort of fall through the rails and the grails, right? We don't even think of things. But the first time, I remember the first time, I think Loki had ice cream, mind blown. It's ice cream. I mean, having for like 30, 40 years of our lives, right? Our mind was blown when we had ice cream for the first time at age 2 or 3. But when the dog and Loki had ice cream for the first time, his mind was blown. And that sheer look of this horrified fascination with something ice cold but is delicious, and then he just sort of dived into it. That that really opened our eyes. So I think that one of the most rewarding things I've ever seen. That was food, right? With food, any new thing we've tried, and it's like you just see the joy on their face. And I think that was the most rewarding that we've ever felt, rewarded we've ever felt, actually. And of course, I don't know if you remember. So I have this thing where, so when we're sleeping together, and he's a quilt hogger, used to be a quilt hogger. And after we adopted Loki, at some point I just had no quilt. And I remember feeling so cold. Where's the quilt? Where's the quilt? I'm dragging the quilt. And I'm cursing him, saying, how many times I've told you now, so many years of marriage, how it is. He wakes up like, I don't have the quilt. So both are looking at each other, completely like sleep deprived, and you realize the dog has rolled himself in the quilt. And Loki had spread himself with this full 20 kilo weight, and he took the entire quilt. And I remember thinking, my mind was blown at that time, saying, I've been cursing for so many days and so many nights, saying you're forever stealing the quilt, and you learn how to share it and all that. And the dog has taken it. So I was like, okay, that's a lesson learned. And a little while later, there was this I think maybe months, maybe a year or two later, time just sort of blurs. It was really nice, warm sort of weight on my back. And I'm like, "Pah, what a nice way to wake up." And I opened my eyes and this human is next to me. And I'm like, there's a human here, what's behind me? Because I didn't realize dogs also spooned when they slept. And that was like something new. I'd never experienced it. And so Loki had decided that that day he wanted my pillow, my side of the bed and my back. So he was sleeping his back to my bum and we were just very sound asleep. And I'm thinking, what a lovely way to wake up on a cold Bangalore day. And husband, so that the moment of fright though, and I wake up, I'm like, if you're here, who's there? I'm like, what's going on? And then the dog was just so blissed out. I think that was a wonderful way to wake up. And yeah, that morning was amazing. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, but yeah, that was an amazing morning. Yeah. I'll say emotionally, they've really opened up our horizons because you know you're capable of happiness and joy and sadness, anger, jealousy, depression. You know of it, you know you're capable of it. I'm sure you've gone through the gamut. Everybody has at some point or the other. But it truly hits you when you get a Freagle and he or she does not know what the world is. And like you said, you become their world and everything you do is for them. Anything you buy or see or do with your life is because of them or it's for them.
So initially he was very timid, he was scared, he was not toilet trained. So all these things were there. So it was like teaching a baby how to, live from the scratch. So initially, yeah, he was mostly timid. So he wouldn't move from the place that he was in. So I wouldn't say it was a hassle in the sense that some dogs are very jumpy, movey, try to bite and do all those things. Nothing like that. With him, he was just put in one place and he was very calm. And I gave him his food, water, he would drink it and all that. He had to be toilet trained, he had to be taught all those things. And there was a hand holding initially, but the learning curve is very fast. So once you put in, and if you follow, there is a certain protocol that Freagles of India people give you. So if you follow that protocol, they all fall in line, so everything works out. So I think now he's just like any other regular dog. So.
It's like kid, right? No matter how many times you read the Tiger Mom, that famous book, Tiger Mom, Helicopter Mom, whatever it is, I think a lot of things are trial and error. I think that's exactly what has happened. So sometimes some of things we learn, it's a kind of, oh, it did not work. Some worked for us, and you kind of work on that and maybe make it much more refined. I think that exactly has happened in our relationship with both our pets, Appu as well as Lola. More so with Appu because the first time we got, at least for me, it's now I know his body language because sometimes as you said there were moments when he was sleeping. I tried to touch him, he just froze. Sometimes he just he has this, what do you call this kind of, it doesn't bite but that kind of warning, don't come near me.
So you
it's
learn,
more of trial and error.
Yeah, you learn, unlearn and learn again.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one example is how they wake her up in the mornings when they want food. So they jump all over her. They wait till Loki used to kind of lay down on top of her to make sure that she wakes up. Fuji will come ruffle her hair.
My
up.
hair, yeah.
Thankfully, they don't disturb me. So I'm
which
happy
is very
in the
weird.
mornings.
Which is very weird, actually. But yeah, they were very timid, very, very scared of everything, anything. But now there's inside the house there is no fear at all. And outside, maybe if things are new people, etc. Fuji is a bit scared still. Nico doesn't care anymore. He just does his own thing, and people don't normally come and pet your dogs. If they try, also he sort of keeps his distance. But yeah, they were very scared, very anxious, very, very quiet initially. But now they just, their behaviors have just completely changed. Completely changed. My God, insane it is now actually.
Lot of things, at least trial and error. I think this is what I would also suggest to the pet parents who are also considering or those who are considering adopting Freagles or for that matter any dogs. There's they need to be consistent commitment. It is everything emotionally, from a time perspective, and so you I think people should also be resourceful also.
Yeah.
the medicines are very expensive. The vet visits are expensive. The food. You can't feed the food which we eat to them. So they need a separate. And if your pet needs some, like additional supplements or whatever, then the cost kind of multiplies, right? So one should also be. See, adoption is one part. Getting a dog is one part, but there are other things. Time, resource I mean by both in terms of financial resources, so emotionally they should be prepared to do that. I think it's a combination of these three. Otherwise it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be difficult for the dog as well, right? Once you bring the dog, why put them through later, because, even now I see, dogs who've been adopted like for 6 years and then suddenly they just give up, and that's like, whatever reason it is, like, I understand, you're not going to throw out your family member just because, you're going through some issues. I mean, sorry, that's not how it works, I mean, it shouldn't happen that way. Why would you do that? So that's what he was talking about, being resourceful. Like, you need to be, it's a commitment, and you cannot put your hands up and say that, what, and that way, like, people after 5 years, 6 years, I don't know, isn't that very difficult for people as well? I don't know, how do they deal with it, it's just very sad. Okay, dogs, they definitely will go through a lot of, mentally they'll go through a lot of issues, but then don't you go through it? Won't you go through it? I mean, you know what? This was very surprising for us also, because we, like any other, any parent, or anyone, considering, to adopt a Freagle, their feelings are valid. You are even more scared. You're gonna be even more worried. How is it gonna be? Is it gonna be fine? Is the dog going to, get adjusted to, your routine? But trust me, like, I'm not just saying for the sake of it, like, but I can see that he is so grateful to what, to you, and what you have done for him. I'm not saying that Lola is not grateful. It's just that, like, because he's gone through that, right? So you need to really understand, if anyone who's considering, adopting a Freagle, you really don't know what you are doing, and your feelings completely valid. You're worried, you're, going to be nervous, you're going to be scared, but you know what, that is something that you will go through, and you're going to go through in a very beautiful way. That journey is going to be so beautiful, which you're not going to realize, after.
But you have support system too. Yes,
Yes, yeah.
as you said, it's perfectly valid. Any pet adoption,
Yeah.
Freagles, beagles, any whether it's a dog, cow, whatever, a mammal, birds, whatever you want to adopt. The initial the questions will I be able to adapt? Will they be able to adapt? Will I be able to change? Will I be able to change? Make them comfortable. But thing is, the team is great. The Freagles team is there to guide you at each and every step.
Yeah.
So that makes your journey relatively easier, in adopting a Freagle.
Yeah.
So the solid team, the solid. I think it's from the tremendous experience and exposure they have in working with each and each and every Freagle that come into their fold, right?
Yeah.
So the wealth of knowledge they have, and as I said earlier, we need to trust their, we need to trust them and follow their advice.
Yeah.
And that's exactly we did. That's exactly what we did, and that exactly was able to. But by third, fourth month, we got to set into a routine. By 6 months, it was set.
I think it's the best decision they'll make, because the kind of love and companionship and the kind of attachment, I mean, I've had a lot of dogs before him, but the way he is, the way he gives you undivided attention, It's something you have to experience. I cannot really put it in words, because it's like you are his whole world, And once you experience that, there's no going back. So they kind of latch onto you, they kind of imprint on you, and then they trust you completely, and it's a very rewarding experience. So it's something everybody should experience once. With time, they open up, as long as they feel safe and protected, just like any human being actually. So if they feel safe and protected, they open up. That's all.
Go for it. Straight away, go for it. if you're expecting all rainbows and stars and unicorns, do not adopt any dog for that matter, not just a Freagle. You need time, you need patience, and you need a truckload of empathy if you want to adopt any dog, especially if it's going to be a Freagle. And if you don't have that, I'd say don't go for it. Both of us, I would say, have become extremely patient people, very mindful people after we started adopting Freagles, right? And very cognizant of things and people around us. Very cognizant about that. Very, very mindful. I would say they've taught us the most. If you want to go for a Freagle, if you want to learn what life is, truly what life is, I would say adopt a Freagle. But please don't go with this intention of getting this golden retriever will follow you everywhere, or these huskies which will sing, when you say I love you, they'll say I love you back. If that's your mentality, don't go for a dog at all. But if you're willing to put in a little bit of hard work, I mean, the rewards are crazy. Crazy returns. Go for it.
Correct. Because the food, the way we make food, like for example, would be different, right? Then we might want to do it in our own routine. For example, by 7:30, I have to be on the road to hit my office on time. So then I have to feed them and take them out and feed them on that. So slowly you try to inculcate those that routine. That took some by third month, 90 days flat. I mean, 90 days flat. Then is more of making sure that you stick to that routine.
So as a pet parent, anyone who's even thinking of, like let's adopt, this is important, that routine is very important. You need to stick to, the decision that you made, because as I said, at the end of the day, it's very important, I'm so sorry. He said right earlier that, they chose us. They chose us, and the rest is history.
But yes, the initial 3 months, give it to them and ensure the routine is not broken, because that's where the formative time is very, very important. And once the routine is set, then you have the flexibility. Like let's say after 1 year or 6 or 1 year, it's not that you might have to give it 7. Maybe you are late night, you came in maybe 8, 9, it's fine. But the initial formative time is very, very important.
Yeah, I think they just need a safe environment, a loving home. That's all they need. And they need discipline and routine. So if you have discipline and routine, food at this time, walk at this time, if you have that discipline and routine, that's it. No surprises. So that doesn't work. So you can't go zigzag. Initial, at least couple of months, you give them discipline and routine. Everything has to happen at a certain time. They get accustomed to it. And then there's nothing to it. Then they just live their life that way.
So we encourage families to just leave them be, focus on building a routine for them from day one, which is true of any rescue dog that you bring home really. Routine is extremely important. If a dog knows what to expect from the day, like a dog knows, okay, this time I will get my food, this time the walk is happening, this time to this time, mama's going to be busy, so I just need to kind of lie down and rest. So basically, if a dog knows what to expect from a day, you are going to be building a dog that is going to feel very secure. So we advise families, especially when they're adopting the laboratory beagles, to not, want to cuddle them and hug them and kiss them to show affection, but to give them their routine, give them their space, allow them to approach you, because this is the first time in their life, I think, that they have autonomy over their own bodies, because they've always been caged and things were done to them all the time, and they did not have a choice in that. But this is the first time that they have autonomy. They can choose to approach you, or they can choose to stay away. So give them that time to take those decisions on their own, and that, I think, is just the rehab process that happens once the dog goes home. So even when the Freagles come here to us at the Freedom Farmhouse, the very first thing that we do is put them on a routine. And it sounds very boring, but this is what kind of helps them get structure to their day, right? So it's not that, oh, you're out in freedom, you're out the whole day, do whatever you want. So the routine here is, they're let out in the morning for a couple of hours. They have their food at a very specific time every day. Then they're compulsorily put into their rooms to take a nap for 3 to 4 hours in the afternoon. Then they're again given some out time. And again in the evening, they're put into their rooms to sleep at the same time. So in fact, as their nap time is approaching, you can see that even though right now they might be scattered doing their own thing, they'll all kind of go running towards the door. The minute you open their room door, they all go kind of running into sleep. So they like to know what they're supposed to do. Right? So that is why when they go home as well, we tell the families to give them food at the same time every day, walk at the same time every day, rest at the same time every day, snack at the same time every day. And it takes any dog about 3 weeks to learn their routine, because it's the same as with human beings. It takes 21 days to form a habit, right? So if you put them on a routine, the important things that happen is, one, the toilet training falls in place. So if the food is going in on time and the walks are on time, then the dog knows that, okay, I will be going out at a certain time to relieve myself. The toilet training comes in place. Secondly, if you allow them to just run amok and do whatever they feel like doing, there is overstimulation and they're overexcited. And when a dog is overstimulated and overexcited is when, that excited thing starts, they're running zoomies, they're grabbing things they shouldn't be doing. So they start to take very poor decisions. So a routine helps them, rest at the right time, and and the energy can be used for playing when you are free in the evening, for example, instead of them kind of just running around wondering what to do with their day. So this is why a schedule is very critical when you take any dog home, and especially with these guys.
Tell no to Chintana and Nita, both of them.
To Chintana, I want to say thank you so much. The journey has been fantastic. Our experience we had in last 10 years, 2017, no, 7 years has been nothing short of amazing. You have been, we are lucky enough to come across your NGO and connect with you. Thank you so much. And a lot of things I want to say, but I think thank you perhaps summarizes everything you've done for us. And I cannot think of a day without Apu or Lola. Even when we travel, my mind is always focused on what they are doing. I was not that person earlier. It's not that I don't like pets, but thank you.
Thank you, Chintana and Nita. And I think everyone, you all just, held our hands and just took us, to this journey, I think, which I don't know how to thank. It's something that, how much ever you say, and you don't know what you have done for us. I know for you, it's just a very small thing, because you have hundreds of dogs that you have to look after, and that, the effort that you guys put in, really, really, commendable.
I think in a way it also strengthened our relationship, my relationship with him, Sovin, and Sovin's relationship with us, and these two are kind of not just binders. They I mean now, when they made us a family. They made complement complete.
I think continue doing all the great work that you're doing. I think we've seen the growth from how you guys started to where you are now. So yeah, it's amazing that you're taking care of not just Freagles now, but also beagles and other abandoned dogs, if you will. So yeah, continue on the great work. I'm sure the Freagle momentum will pick up, right? They're wonderful dogs, they're wonderful souls, and yeah, I'm pretty sure the wave will come around, right, where they get adopted much faster.
I think the work that Freagles of India is doing is so phenomenal, because like Prasanna said, we've seen the evolution of the entire movement from how it started to how it's going, and it's picked up so much momentum, and there's just so much work involved. There's so much that the team is doing, and it's incredible work. It is such incredible work, and like you're saying, just don't stop. Don't stop what you're doing. Don't stop what you believe in, because we love you. We've loved you from 2016 to 2024. We have no intentions of stopping what we do as well. And we support Freagles of India completely, and we don't intend to stop that, because the work that they do is just so amazing, so incredible. And like I said, you go the Freagle way once, there is no going back.
Yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to. And we don't actually cut off. I really don't cut off. We still have our very excellent social life, and so nothing has changed. It's just certain things, and that those changes are the good ones. Good change. So.
So the first part is how it makes me feel emotionally is that a lot of people ask me about him. When I take him, they ask me, where did you get him from? What? So I get a chance to tell people about his past. When I do that, I'm also spreading a kind of awareness about what is going on in terms of, this laboratory research. In fact, I myself didn't know that beagles were used for this. So unless there is awareness, unless people know, nothing is going to happen about this. Adoption is only one part of it, that the ones who are released should be taken care of. But what about why is this job still going on, if we have progressed so much, then why are we, doing animal testing on something as sweet as this? Create a sort of awareness to everybody who comes in contact with me that this is happening, this should not happen. I show him the number on his ear, So, and then even children, so many children come to me, ask me to pet him, and I tell them his story. So in that way, I'm spreading awareness. It makes me feel good that I'm contributing in some way to this cause. But at the end of the day, one would like that this should stop at the end of the day. So much has happened with him, but he still shakes it off and he moves ahead, and he is ready to give life a second chance, even though his previous life wasn't all that great. He had never experienced love, sunlight, grass, children, but he gave everything a chance. So it's not like he carried the baggage of his past. So there is actually a lot to learn from the way he approaches life, So we think that they are just animals, but there is so much to learn from the way they are. So.
Yeah, so it's to encourage people to get Freagles, and we're basically explaining our experience with our dog. Yeah, so it's like we are his home. But then as I come home from my tennis class, the first person I see is Alfie. So he sort of, as I open the door, he sort of comes to me. Yeah, so it's especially the tennis class because that's possibly the largest gap, right? So yeah, so then he comes to me. So he takes between 2 to 3 weeks. Then he basically explores the area, scans it, he explores the place, then he kind of tries to analyze the outside, he smells it. Then he grows used to the place. Then he identifies that there are no threats, there are no external threats. And then yeah, he gets used to it. I mean, you could say that he adapts to new places, but it takes him a while. But he just somehow adapts. He has to have the same people and all of that. But he can also sort of betray his own owners because if you give him a good environment and a comfortable environment, a blanket, the AC, he'll sort of just forget about you. That's what happened with our neighbors.
So tell them what happened.
Yeah, so we had left him for like approximately 4 nights, about 4 nights at our neighbor's house, and yeah, then they'd given him a blanket, put him in the AC and everything. So we had a feeling that he was sort of forgetting about us. His own owners that had him for about 4 years. You're kind of like the owner to him, so he looks up to you for support, but I'm basically kind of like his brother, so I sort of even annoy him sometimes. But yeah, so we just stay in the same place. And so even if I go, he'll sort of notice a difference. I hope he does.
In fact, for the first few days, we feed them kibble because that is what they are fed in the laboratory. Then they are leash trained because they are not used, they freak out when you put a leash. Then slowly the training starts, the rehab starts. Then they are put for adoption. The adoption process is the same as it is for any other dogs with us, but for a Freagle it just becomes extra. We take more time because we need to stress on the security aspect more than anything, because these dogs don't know boundaries. So if the door is open, they can run out. So that's why it takes more time for a Freagle than any other dog that we have. We do the adoption processes, we put out when they're up for adoption, we get applications. We do a call. After the call is a thing that we call meet and greet. The entire family, if they have a dog with the dog, come to meet the dogs. Not necessary that they have to adopt when they come, and not necessary we have to give. It has to, we watch how it goes and which dog fits the family, the right dog for the right family. And then they go back home. We send a list of things. We have a process that is followed for the list of things. We send them the diet because they are all on meat-based diet. All the dogs are on meat-based diet. So we send them all the paperwork, and then they come after a week or 10 days to adopt the dog. And to leave the dogs alone for the first few days, weeks, because the dogs are very overwhelmed when they go to a new environment. So we tell them not to cuddle them too much, because not to hug them too much. So to leave the dog, let the dog be, and follow the diet that we are following here. We send them the entire proportion and everything, because they're all on a meat-based diet. And safety is very important, like I said. So we ask for a home video, etc.
So surprisingly, India is the only country in the world right now where it is mandatory for beagles to be retired once the testing is done. And basically they are retired after 3 years of testing. So they go into testing by the time they're about a year old. And by the time the testing is completed, they're about 4 years old. So that's when these dogs have to mandatorily be retired. Anywhere else in the world, dogs are repeatedly used for multiple testing until the dog just drops dead, or they are euthanized once the testing is done. Another interesting thing is, in India, testing on animals for cosmetics and for household products is completely banned. So if you are looking to buy, makeup or body care products, if you buy products that are developed and made in India, you will know for a fact that they are not tested on animals at all. Beagles in India are used only for testing of pharmaceutical products. So please remember that every tablet you have ever taken in your life, every vaccine you have ever taken in your life has been tested on beagles before it has been passed for clinical trials in human beings, right? So pharma drugs, of course, most of the time we don't have a choice. Like if we are in a position where it's a life or death situation, or we're in chronic pain, or a family member is going through that, we are not going to say, hey, the product is tested on animals, so I won't pop this pill. But when it comes to cosmetics and personal care products, we definitely have that choice. So if we are able to cut back demand, then people will start thinking of ways to change their policies and how these products are made. So when the Freagles first started coming out, in 2016, 2017, it was a very novel thing. Nobody had heard of beagles from research testing labs, and everyone was very fascinated by the whole concept of adopting a Freagle. And there was a lot of coverage in the press, be it in the local press, be it internationally. So the Freagles were getting a lot of attention in those years, and everybody wanted to be a part of the movement. Everybody wanted a slice of the pie. So the adoption rates of laboratory retired beagles back then was tremendous. Like we would have thousands of applications for a handful of dogs, and we could actually pick and choose good families to send our dogs to. But what's happened now is over the years, it's kind of, I think, hitting a blind spot. It's no longer a new novel concept, firstly. Secondly, what's happened post the pandemic is the numbers of dogs that are being abandoned is astronomical, and this is a phenomenon worldwide, not just in India, because lots of people bought puppies during the lockdown, and now once the lockdown is over, they're either getting back to work, kids are going back to college, they're relocating abroad, so on and so forth, and they no longer have time for these dogs. So young dogs, 3 years, 4 years, who were bought during the pandemic are coming up for adoption, which means that our laboratory retired beagles are facing stiff competition from regular dogs, younger dogs. So the adoption rate for our laboratory retired beagles has definitely slowed down. So I do hope people kind of change their mindset about them, because even though these guys are 5, 6 years old at the time of getting adopted, they are puppy-like in the sense that everything is new for them. So the sense of wonder, the sense of curiosity is nothing short of a puppy. And you can see how loving they are. They just need a little time, a little patience to learn things, and they're just fantastic. And of all the dogs that I've had over the years, I find that once a Freagle chooses to trust you and give their heart to you, it's just something else. They really are so focused on you all the time that, because I think it's the first time that they're forming such a deep bond with a human being. Well, I think when these dogs walk into the Freedom Farmhouse, be it the laboratory retired beagles, be it our breeder discarded dogs, be it dogs who've been dumped on the road, be it dogs that have been given up by their families, I like to think of them as when they come in, they are nobody's dogs, and dogs have evolved to kind of be connected to human beings. And when these dogs come in, they've been let down by humans, or some of them have never known human affection and human touch. And I think it's nothing short of a privilege to be in this position where you are one of the first few people that these dogs trust. And that's a privilege that I don't take lightly at all. So if the dogs get adopted and go home, obviously it's a great win. Some of the old dogs I know may never get adopted. Maybe they have some health issue, or they're old and people don't want to go through the heartbreak of taking home an old dog. For those dogs, this is their home. And when they pass away, I believe that they deserve to have the dignity of the cremation that any of our family members will get. And I believe that we owe it to them to have our hearts break. We owe it to them to feel the full depth of our grief, because otherwise then what's the point of doing this, no? If you're just going to, the other tagline that we use for our laboratory beagles, and which also holds true for all of these dogs that come in, we use the hashtag names, not numbers. Because when these dogs come to us, they are just numbers. Each dog is assigned a number. Earlier it used to be tattooed inside their ears. Now they have microchips. And they're all treated the same. It's like I have 10 beakers, I have 10 microscopes. When families adopt from us, especially when they adopt laboratory beagles from us, we ask them to completely mesh their balconies. And we learnt this the hard way, because back in 2016, one of the beagles that was adopted from us was sleeping in her balcony, which is on the 4th floor of the building. And an aircraft flew past, and that sound was so scary for her that she just woke up, and in that moment, the only gap she saw to get away from that noise was through the gaps in the grill. So she fell down from the 4th floor all the way to the ground floor. Fortunately, she survived, but she broke her hip. She had to be admitted in the hospital. So this was a hard lesson we learned. We did not imagine that a dog can't understand, or will not have depth perception. So that is something that we learned that these dogs would do. So balconies have to be meshed. So a lot of these lessons have been hard learned by experience.
So what we realized that uh, it fits perfectly for our life. Means if you are adopting a senior dog, and if it being a Freagle, it helped a lot because
I mean, we didn't expect anything from them. They didn't. They may be. They may have expected something.
what I'm saying is for them it's a fresh start in the life. It might be a 10th year of their life or past that, or sixth year of their life, but they have not seen the world as such. So it's as good as a puppy. So their learning starts with us. So they see us as the first person. All those things is there. Plus for us also, other aspect was everything was new for him, and we were teaching him, like even going outside and peeing, going for a walk, how to eat from a bowl, how to eat different items. So it was an experience which both of us, even for the dog and for the parents, it was a
I
learning.
mean, we learned.
And
Yeah.
second thing was the temperament. We were new, we were learning things. He was new, he was learning things. So for both of us, it was a learning experience. That was the thing which made us believe that even if we adopt next, it will be much easier if it's a Freagle. So like Oblu, he doesn't know anything other than us. So he is carefree, no problem, nothing if we are around.
Even if we leave now for 4-5 hours, he'll be okay. He'll just sleep. He knows that we'll come back. But she has that fear.
So Freagles, although they are old or but they have not seen the world as such. I mean, they have not seen a family. They have not seen a.
So they have lot to give.
Get love in wherever they are staying in, maybe what's that place?
TFF.
But they never had a one-to-one family interaction. So that could be a one thing that both the parents and the dog is learning. So that was the case that which made me rule out many of these breeds also. And with Freagle it was much easier. They learned with us, and they adjust.
And they know only us.
So the batch of these dogs that who've been hanging around us this whole time came to us just barely 3 months ago. And when they first came, if if we think back to the first few days and weeks of them having come out, they were just so awkward, even with placing their paws on the mud. They would not come and sit close to human beings. Some of them were just pacing non-stop because they were so overwhelmed with everything that was going on. But now if you see, there's one dog, under the tree, eating grass and playing with a leaf just like any other dog. Few of the dogs are resting and sleeping so comfortably in such close proximity with human beings. That's a big deal. And of course, this boy who's, been here next to me throughout, pawing me and demanding attention. They're just quick learners. They are very, very, very quick learners, and they've come so far in a span of just 3 months, given that they have been held in captivity for over 6 years from the time that they were puppies. So I think this itself is testimony of the fact that these guys learn and adapt to anything that is thrown their way with ease. One more thing that people kind of hesitate is they assume that if a beagle has been tested on in a laboratory, they might have health issues and they will die fast. On the contrary, beagles who are chosen for testing in laboratories are the strongest of their kind. In fact, your commercially bred dogs might have a lot of congenital health issues because of poor breeding standards, but laboratories use beagles that are bred to a certain standard, so they are genetically extremely strong. We've had Freagles live as long as 17, 18. It's not unheard of. So do they have any health conditions? Like any other dog of any other breed, sure, some of them might have an enlarged heart or, a little bit of a skin issue, but all of that is manageable with the right kind of care at home. Another thing that people think is because these guys have experienced so much of trauma in the laboratory, it takes an experienced home to have a Freagle. On the contrary, Freagles do exceptionally well even with first-time pet parents. I remember a family who had adopted a 7-year-old Freagle back in 2016. They had never had dogs before. And the statement that that lady made then sticks in my mind. She says, it's okay. It will be their first time to be a dog, and it will be our first time to be a pet parent. We will learn together. And that has really stuck in my brain because first time pet parents have no expectations, right? It's the first time they have a dog at home. And for the dogs as well, it's their first time in a home. So the learning can happen together. And so age is just a number. These dogs do phenomenally well even with first timers. Another advantage of adopting Freagles is they are very, unfortunately, because they have lived a life of isolation, of being by themselves all the time, they do very well with working people as well. They're very happy to be home by themselves, alone in their company for 6 to 7 hours, should you need to go to work. So there are many, many advantages of adopting a Freagle. You just need to be patient with them in the beginning while they learn how to live in a home. Toilet training will take a little bit of time, like it does with any dog that comes home. Apart from that, you know, we do put in all the effort to make them comfortable with people, desensitize them to a leash. We've introduced them to treats, we've introduced them to toys, we've introduced them to other dogs. So the groundwork is done. From here, it's time for them to just go home and fly.